We've seen a couple more intriguing deals on trade deadline day. A handful of big ones that we're going to talk about in this video, including Petr Mrazek getting back to the Detroit Red Wings. We'll get to all of that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. Now before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. We'd never be able to do this without you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. We're really support the channel and we're on the road to 500 subscribers. And don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below discussing all those discussed in today's video, and check out my live stream. If you haven't checked it out already, I did a couple of days ago now, and we looked at all the trades that happened on trade deadline day, so definitely don't forget to tune for that. But in today's video, we're recapping some of the trades that happened over on trade deadline day. Now some of these actually trickled in after ending my live stream. Some of these we did mention on the live stream. We just want to go in a little more depth as to what these trades look like. So we're going to look at all the trades here. We're going to start off with a small minor deal that we saw as New York Rangers and the Buffalo Sabres made a player swap, and trades as follows. The Sabres acquired Erik Brannstrom from the New York Rangers for our Kubel. So this is an interesting move there. The Rangers, they wanted to add a little bit more depth at the forward group, especially after giving up guys like Jimmy Vesey and Riley Smith. They needed some more help on the forward group. So they acquired Kubel. He's on a one-year deal. He's at $1.5 million AAV. It's not an overly bad ad there for the Rangers. Kubel isn't having the greatest of seasons, but he can be a decent fourth-line forward. He showed that in Washington, showed that in Philadelphia, showed that in Colorado when they won the Cup. So I think Kubel is going to be a really solid addition there for the Rangers in their bottom six, even if he's just a call-up option, but still it's a pretty decent ad there for the Rangers. When it comes to the Buffalo Sabres side, they traded Henry Jokiharju on the trade deadline day, so they need some more defensive help. They also traded Dennis Gilbert, so they acquired Erik Brannstrom. Brannstrom, I think, could be a serviceable third-pair defenseman. This is his fourth team he's been with this year. He signed in Colorado, he was then dealt to Vancouver, he was then dealt to New York, and now he's in Buffalo. So it's been quite a season there for Erik Brannstrom. He's 25 years old. He's $900,000 on the cap. He's in the final year of his deal, so very likely chance he might walk away from Buffalo as a UFA or even as an RFA. They don't qualify, so we will have to wait and see what happens there with Brannstrom in the offseason. But I think this is an interesting deal. I think Brannstrom being a little bit younger and still producing some really solid third-pair numbers, I think the Sabres do win this deal, but it's just a swap of depth players. The Rangers get some bomb six help, and the Sabres get a third-pair defenseman. So interesting out there. Then we saw New Jersey Devils and New York Islanders make a player swap, as the Devils have acquired Dennis Chalowski from the New York Islanders in exchange for Adam Beckman. Now, this is an interesting swap for the Devils. We know that Dougie Hamilton's injured. They wanted to have a little more reinforcements on the blue line, so they acquired Dennis Chalowski. He's played a couple of games actually this year at the NHL level for the New York Islanders, but is mostly an AHL guy. Can be a call-up option, could be a spare defenseman there for the Devils. So he's 27 years old, making league minimum. So I'm not sure if he'll start at the NHL level, but he could definitely start in the AHL and be a call-up option for the Devils. So that's an interesting pickup there for New Jersey. For the Islanders, they get Adam Beckman. Beckman's 23 years old. He's a left winger. So far in his career, he's gotten to a couple of NHL games, but for the most part of his career, he's been an AHL level forward. So it's an interesting pickup there for the Islanders. It's another young piece that they could fit into their lineup. So interesting swap there, but the Devils get a call-up option there, Chalowski, and the Islanders get a young and up-and-coming forward in Adam Beckman. So an interesting swap there. Then we saw the Colorado Avalanche and Philadelphia Flyers make a trade. The trade is as follows. The Avalanche have reacquired longtime defenseman Erik Johnson from the Philadelphia Flyers in exchange for Giovanni Smith. So this is an interesting swap there. Smith is 27 years old in the final year of his deal, making $800,000. Interesting bottom six option. Could be a call-up option for the Flyers, especially after dealing a guy like Scott Laughton. They could definitely use some more forward option help. So I think Smith could be a decent call-up option if the Flyers run into some injuries. When it comes to Erik Johnson, he's a serviceable 6 or 7 defenseman on most teams' blue lines. He has a whole bunch of experience being in Colorado. I think he won the Cup in Colorado a couple of years back. So Erik Johnson knows how to play in Colorado. He probably won't get much playing time given the improvements the Avalanche made on their blue line, but if they do run into some injuries, Erik Johnson could be a really serviceable third-pair guy. So all in all, this is an interesting deal. It's another minor type swap, but the Avalanche, I do think, win this deal, given the fact they are able to get one of their longtime stalwart players in Erik Johnson. So interesting out there, but the Flyers are able to get some bomb six help by adding Giovanni Smith in exchange. The Avalanche get depth defenseman Erik Johnson. Then going over to 2 trades the Chicago Blackhawks made. So first, the Chicago Blackhawks acquired the Shea Weber contract, Aku Ratu, and the signing rights to Victor Soderstrom from the Utah Hockey Club for a 5th round pick. So this is an interesting pickup there for the Hawks. They have plenty of cap space, so picking up the Shea Weber contract is not too surprising. He's going to be on long-term injury reserve for the rest of his contract, and then he's going to be out. It's only this year and next next year left on Shea Weber's contract, so he can either be placed on injury reserve or long-term injury reserve next year, and then that contract will be expired. So just a little bit more injury flexibility there for the Blackhawks. They also get Akuratu, who at this current point in time, I think, will only play like a handful of games at the NHL level, been a long time AHL type forward. Maybe in the Blackhawks organization, he could be a decent bomb six forward. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens there. But I think he'd be a decent call-up option there for the Blackhawks for a time being. And they also get Victor Soderstrom. Soderstrom has not signed a contract yet. He was an unsigned RFA. He didn't wind up making the cut for the Utah Hockey Club, so they didn't sign him to a contract this past off season. So if they can sign him to a deal, he's only 24 years old. Maybe they can wind up having him play as like a solid third-pair defenseman on that system. It's quite possible I think Thorstrom could still be a solid 6th, 7th defenseman at the NHL level. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens there. But Soderstrom, Ratu, and Weber all go to Chicago. Utah gets a 5th-round pick. Like, they weren't going to sign Soderstrom with the defense they have right now. Ratu was an AHL level player, and they got rid of the Shea Weber contract, which sort of frees up some injury reserve space. And in exchange, you get a 5th-round pick. It's in 2026, a little bit down the road. Not sure what the Hawks will look like at that point in time, but they do get another piece of draft capital that could be used in the offseason, or that they could wind up drafting 2 years down the road. So all in all, it's an interesting trade here. I do think that the Hawks win it just because they're able to get Victor Soderstrom, who I think could wind up working out really well in that Blackhawks blue line. But it's an interesting trade that sees the Weber contract, Ratu, and Soderstrom go to the Blackhawks in exchange for Utah getting a 2026 5th-round pick. And the other trade that the Blackhawks made is as follows. The Blackhawks have acquired Joseph Veleno from the Detroit Red Wings in exchange for Petr Mrazek and Craig Smith. So this is an interesting deal there between these two teams. For the Hawks, Mrazek was a guy who was potentially being on the block given the fact they just acquired Spencer Knight, didn't really need him, so they wound up moving him. They also moved Craig Smith, who was in the final year of his deal, probably wasn't going to be brought back in the offseason, so they wound up moving on from him. They get Joseph Veleno. He's 25 years old. He's a center, was sort of bogged down in Detroit, being like a 4th-line center in the Red Wings organization. He's in the first year of a 2-year deal with maybe a $2.275 million. I think he'll either be an RFA or UFA at the end of next year's contract, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. But I think Veleno in Chicago, if he plays top 9 minutes, could be a very stellar add there for the Blackhawks. I don't think Veleno got to his potential in Detroit because he was boxed out of the top 9. If he gets top 9 minutes, I think he could be a very fantastic add for the Blackhawks. So I think it's a really good pickup there for Chicago. When it goes to Detroit's side, you got Petr Mrazek and Craig Smith. Mrazek is a massive upgrade on guys like Cam Talbot and Alex Lyon, and really does improve the Red Wings goaltending core. So he's signed for this year and next year at 4.25. So it's not just a rental. He's going to be here for a couple of seasons for the Red Wings. So I think that's going to be really good. Mrazek, I do think, has prior experience to playing in Detroit. I think he was a member of the Detroit Red Wings a couple of years back. So he goes back to Detroit. Like I said, it's not an overly great goaltending upgrade, but it is a little bit of an upgrade over Talbot and Lyon. So really good stuff there for Detroit. They also get Craig Smith. Smith fits a bomb six role a lot better than the guy that Joseph Veleno does. And I think Craig Smith, even though he's on the older side of things, will be able to fill into like a 4th-line role and really play well there for the Red Wings. So interesting note there, but the Red Wings have added a solid bomb 6-4 who I think could fit in really well in Craig Smith, even though he does have some injury troubles, and Petr Mrazek, who's an upgrade on their current goaltenders. In exchange, the Blackhawks add a solid young player in Joseph Veleno. So interesting note there. And the last trade I want to talk about here today is between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the San Jose Sharks, as the Blue Jackets have acquired depth forward Luke Kunin from the San Jose Sharks for the St. Louis Blues 2027 4th-round picks. This is an interesting trade here between these two teams. Luke Kunin, I think on my trade board, he was 8th or 9th, so there's a very likely chance that I thought he was going to get moved. He was held out of the Sharks last game due to trade-related reasons, so he does wind up not staying in San Jose, so he gets moved to Columbus. Now, Jackets, they didn't do much at the trade deadline, but this was one of their moves. They wind up adding some bomb six help. We know that their forward group is not the best in the NHL, especially right now, and they had a whole bunch of free cap space to work with, so they acquired the entire capital of Luke Kunin. He's 27 years old. He's in the final year of his deal. Most likely will leave as a UFA in the offseason, but he can fit in like a bomb six role. He can play center. He can play wing. Very versatile that way. He can play on the 3rd line. He can play on the 4th line. He can be a really good bomb six add there for the Blue Jackets. So all in all, pretty good pickup there for the Blue Jackets. Kunin, like I said, he's not the player that he once was in Nashville, but he's still a very serviceable 4th line, 3rd line forward who I think could work out really well in Columbus. And the San Jose Sharks get a 4th-round pick. It's never going to be an overly huge add for Kunin. Like I say, he's a bottom six forward. So I think a 4th round pick is reasonable for what Kunin brings. It's a 2025 4th rounder, so it's a 4th rounder in this year's draft from St. Louis. So it might be a higher pick given the where St. Louis is in the standings right now. And I think that could really work out to the Sharks' favor, whether they trade that pick or whether they use it to select someone. So interesting note there, that St. Louis Blues pick was acquired by Columbus in the offseason for Alex Texier. So turning Texier into a little bit of a forward upgrade here, and Luke Kunin is not too bad for the Columbus Blue Jackets. All in all, Jackets are able to nab Luke Kunin from the San Jose Sharks for a 2025 4th round pick, a deal in which I do think that the Jackets win it because they are able to get Kunin as full cap and only give up a 4th round pick. So I think that's pretty good there for the Blue Jackets. So all in all, some interesting trades here from our past couple of days. I also do think that the Blackhawks won the Mrazek deal because I do think that the Blackhawks gave Veleno is better than Mrazek and Smith, and I also do think that the Devils will wind up winning the Jens Cholowski deal because I do think Cholowski has more experience at this time. So definitely, that's all I'm going to talk about for today. Those are all the deals we saw from our past couple of days. That's how I feel about these deals. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comment section below. What's your opinion on all of these deals? But just to recap, Kunin signed to Columbus, Dennis Cholowski signed to New Jersey, Erik Brannstrom signed to Buffalo, Mrazek and Smith are heading to Detroit for Joe Veleno, Soderstrom and Ratu are going to Chicago, and Erik Johnson is signed to Colorado. So we'll have to wait and see how all these deals pan out. But definitely, that's all we're talking for today. Until this video, if you're interested, subscribe below. Thank you all your support. We're here to help you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section below. So listen to all that else discussed in today's video. I also do a blog talking news, rumors, analysis. If that's going to check that out, I'll link to that down in the description below. And can't see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.